Hey, what's up folks, how's it going? This is Waj. So in this video, we're going to be talking about two gaming platforms. One is the brand new Steam Link console from Valve. This is basically a platform which allows you to take your PC games that you know and love from your Steam library and transport them directly onto your television in your living room or anywhere where you want a couch gaming experience. Now, what I want to do is take the experience that you get with the Steam Link with a high-end PC console, a good networking connection, and basically compare that gaming experience to what you get with the PlayStation 4. So we're going to be taking a look at just the overall sharpness and details on the exact same gaming titles side by side to determine how these two platforms kind of stack up against each other in terms of the pure gaming experience. So if you're interested, let's get right into it. Now, the Steam Link is actually a really simple product. All it does is take the in-home streaming capabilities that every Steam client has and puts that into a small form factor box where you can put anywhere and connect to any HDMI-based display. Physically speaking, the Steam Link is absolutely tiny. It's much smaller than even the Steam controller itself. In terms of networking capabilities, you have two options. Either you can connect to your computer wirelessly via the 802.11 AC 2x2 MIMO Wi-Fi, or you can connect it through a wired Ethernet connection located at the back of the device. You also have three USB 2.0 connections, built-in Bluetooth 4.0 support if you want to connect a headset or any other Bluetooth device towards it. And lastly, you have a full-size HDMI connection that will output 1080p at 60 frames per second. Now, the Steam controller itself, it does not come included with the Steam Link. It's a separate purchase, unfortunately. But in terms of design and functionality, the Steam controller is completely different from the PlayStation 4 controller, which utilizes the symmetrical placement of the analog thumbsticks, which many PlayStation fans have grown to really love. But really what Valve set out to do with the Steam controller is bridge the gap between a traditional gamepad and the functionality and precision that you get from a mouse. So therefore, in order to accomplish that task, what they've actually chosen to do is place two large circular concave trackpads on both sides of the controller, and the trackpad on the right hand side should theoretically replace the functionality of a mouse. And in order to give you some kind of physical tactile sensation of what you're actually doing, you basically have a haptic feedback system that gives you the impression of depth and acceleration. Now, based on my experience right now, I think the idea is really neat, but practically I still find that I like to have a physical thumbstick rather than a touchpad that uses haptic feedbacks, mainly because I'm so used to using a traditional controller like the PlayStation 4, where it just feels a lot easier to use. Even with first-person shooters, I found myself to be a lot more accurate and in control of what's happening in the game, rather than fumbling around with the touchpad in order to get my aiming straight and correct. Now, on the other hand, if you play a lot of real-time strategy games or games that actually use a lot of mouse cursor movements, with some practice, you're actually going to appreciate what the Steam controller can do in terms of those type of games. But in terms of serious, fast-paced action games, you're probably going to want to stick to a traditional keyboard or mouse, or with a traditional gamepad at this point. Now, moving right along, let's actually get to some details on how we're going to compare these two systems. We're basically going to use this PC as our streaming platform. It's based around a Core i7 6700K processor with a GTX 980 Ti from Gigabyte, so it's a fairly high-end PC. Check out the description down below for a detailed breakdown of everything in it. Now, we're actually going to be streaming our games wirelessly using the AC Wi-Fi connectivity that we have on the Steam Link, and it's about 20 feet away from the router itself. We're using the WRT 1900 ACS router in order to stream all of our games. Now, one cool thing about the Steam Link is you can actually set the parameters for your streaming capabilities, so you can optimize it for the best quality possible. So you can limit things like keeping it at 1080p resolution at all times and keeping the bit rate up as high as possible as well. Now, with all that said, we're obviously going to be maxing out all of the titles on the PC being streamed to the Steam Link, and we're going to play the exact same title on the PlayStation 4. And of course, we're going to be recording the HDMI output of both consoles directly into my capture card, so that way you guys can determine which one looks better to you. So with no other further delays, let's get right into it. But really, on that, guys, that's really it. Now, this is a really interesting product, generally speaking. The Steam Link is basically from a company that kind of unified the whole PC gaming space and more easier to use and organized it where all your games are in one place, and this really seems to be like a logical step for them to go to. Now, the only concern is going to be, yes, you do need a fairly high-end computer, and yes, you do need a fairly modern networking system in your home in order to make the most out of your living room gaming experience. And if you take the cost of all that stuff, it's certainly more than what you would get with a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One with a plug-and-play system that you really don't need to worry about too much in terms of setup. But it's kind of cool for those of you guys that want to have the ability to play your Steam games on your living room television without any major kind of issues and with one unified system that runs on the same platform. How is it going to compare to a dedicated Steam machine? Well, we'll find out in the future once we get our hands on some of those machines. But really, other than that, guys, that's really it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later. Take care.